Hey everybody, Jill Backey here at Thrive. We're with you today for Thrive Thursday. I'm here with Jen Fredericks and Lori Kuhn. Jen wrote our article this week. Hopefully you saw it in your inbox first thing this morning. Title of this week's article is Livin It, about the practice of being in the work, no matter what you are perceiving that work to look like. So Jen, you want to give us a little rundown of the primary points of it and anything else you want people to know before we jump into conversation?
Sure. I was beginning to feel guilt because I had all these little reminders around the house of how I wanted to practice my personal development. The book on my book stand that didn't get opened. The yoga mat rolled up in the corner that's only opened once a week. The beautiful gratitude journal that I purchased and it has yet to be opened. And I started feeling this question bubble up of I had all of these great intentions of how I wanted to practice the work and what I thought it took to really go through some growth and personal development. And then I questioned, but I see myself and I feel myself changing and evolving. So how? How is that happening when I am not taking the time to sit down and read that book on intuition or read that book on business acumen?
Because I have to read books.
Because I have to read books.
You can't learn anything if I don't read it in a book.
Exactly. So that was the inspiration of it. And then being able to let that guilt go and realize that the reason I'm seeing changes is because I am taking the concepts and the principles that I work with clients with every day and I'm living it out in the world. And one of the ones that I'm truly living every day is the Thrive Human Development Principle of you influence. And I can really, really feel that throughout my entire being, that when I am out in the world and I am being authentically Jen, that the world is picking up on that and I am being able to give permission to others to also be themselves authentically and to look at the things they want to look at in their life and how they're navigating through it.
And then those people you want to influence come up to you and they say, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, in the parking lot normally.
Right.
Normally
You do
in a
have
stairwell.
You have a parking lot.
I do have a parking lot thing. So, yeah.
Well, and what I love about it, Jen, is we talk so much here that it really is about the living it. Like a great philosophy is just a great philosophy. We all know that, if I just stop and take a breath, things feel different. But if you can't do it as you're living your life, it's just a great philosophy in a book or on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a really interesting juxtaposition that you're experiencing, because instead of exploring all the great concepts, you're really exploring yourself in live time and applying the things that you're choosing to believe and that you're choosing to live on a moment to moment. So the practice is coming in the literal how you're being Jen in every moment. And you want to be a learner, you want to be a yogi, you want to do all of these additional things that support the adventure of life. And yet what you're realizing is every conversation you're having, every opportunity throughout the day, every situation that you're facing, you're able to do it with these tools. You're actually using the tools instead of actively just trying to build your toolbox. And it's a balance. We have to continue building our toolbox, which we are through conversation and exploration and awareness. And you're actually using and practicing the tools in live time. It sounds like a really cool 1-2 punch, and I love your awareness around, oh man, I'm not even reading the book, and yet I'm really experiencing this new way of life. I'm still learning, even though I'm not actively sitting down at a desk with a highlighter and trying to learn. So it's that overall intention of I'm learning and growing and experiencing life different that's changing the game for you, rather than sort of the back end that you thought needed to be a part of it.
Yes.
And I like the other aspect that you brought up too, is you can read the book, but if you don't apply it in your life, the book is irrelevant.
Totally. I know a lot of really, really book smart people that don't live in peace in their soul and don't use the tools that they're reading about. I know psychologists that can't have good conversations and don't understand what's going on in their own systems. And so it's very common. And so that's, I think, what's so exciting about the work that you're doing is it's, the results you're getting and what you're actually doing on a moment to moment to navigate, what could be a pretty sticky time in your life, because it's not all smooth sailing.
Right. Yeah, and that's what helped me realize sort of how I got here, was looking back at last year and was in a sticky part of life and that's when I started really learning the concepts and the principles and the tools. And I only had time for it in the office, around the table, in the classroom. Once I got home, I did not have time to sit down and really reflect and think on that, because I was putting it into action in real time. Like, I learned something, and then, oh my gosh, this applies tonight. And so I would use that new conversation that we had, or that concept that we learned, to make my relationship better with my daughter. And I can't believe the change that's happened in 1 year. I realized last evening, after facilitating human progress training with another Thriver, that day was like our 1 year anniversary of meeting, because that was our first day of coach skills training. And how did I get to being a facilitator in a year? Well, I freaking lived all that stuff that we learned. I lived it so hard that it is so deep in my soul and my inner truth, and the way that I want to live my life and guide those around me to finding out how they want to live their lives, that like it's all in my being now.
Yeah. And you bring up an important fact. It's in my being now. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's one of the things that we really teach here at Thrive is you can read stuff conceptually, but until you live it, like you said, I lived it hard. That's when the neurotransmitters go in place.
Yeah, there is science going on here.
Right. So if I'm not living it, and I'm not learning in life and living it in life and making those things live time, it really doesn't stick with me. Mm-hmm. So I can read it, or I can apply it a little bit. You know, you learn it, you apply it a little bit, but when it's ingrained in you and you're being it, and I liken it to like a fitness regimen or something. Mm-hmm. It's like it has to become, or a diet, it has to become part of your lifestyle. This isn't something you read or go learn about and that's it. Right. You have to incorporate it into your lifestyle.
I can read about healthy food and what to do at the gym all day long, but until I'm actually eating the healthy food and getting to the gym, I'm not going to see the results in my experience. Mm-hmm. The intellectual information is only one part of the equation, and that's what you're experiencing is, is it first I have to read it and then I can apply it, and at what point can I start applying it, and then what I'm reading is actually just reinforcing what I've already been living, which is also a fun part of the dance.
Well, and even being able to take a moment in time that I'm experiencing and realize, like, I don't need that book on intuition because I just had a hit. Right? Mm-hmm. And I was able to share that with a client, and it made a huge difference in their life. Or looking back at a great conversation I had a few weekends ago with an old colleague, and just it all reinforced the concepts and tools and everything that we share here. And so, I highly recommend Living It, because there you go. There it is.
Yeah. Right. So if you're wanting to experience something different,
breathe and live it.
Breathe and live it. Yeah. And I think, one of the advantages, so you did have the advantage of having some of these philosophies that you were choosing, okay, I'm going to live this one, and it is a big part of our process. Mm-hmm. So we have great conversations, but then we do bring it down to, okay, how are you going to live it? And really closing that gap between the intellectual understanding and the actual physical practice of these ideas. And so it is both, and what I love about your article is there is the forgiveness around it and the recognition that you're doing it in your way. And, I may sit down and read and journal every day, and that, that sounds all lovely to you, but if that's not how it's working for you, then how do you continue to live it, even if it looks different, or even if it's not a match for how you think you should be doing it? So,
and one of the lines I pulled out that really resonated with me is you put, I breathe and listen to that which already resides within me. I love that. We all have this in us. Mm-hmm. It's innately within if you're on this planet, it's within you. And so I like that you breathe and tap into what's already in you. I don't have to go search it outside of me. I don't have to find the book. I don't have to find, therapy helps. So I'm not, I have nothing against therapy, but I don't have to look for everything external to me. Sometimes I just need to breathe and find what's already in me that can direct me where I need to be.
And that confidence, that belief had never been built in me, to no one's fault, not to my fault or college or high school or whatever. It just wasn't a concept that ever entered my periphery, right? And then it didn't know. And then it was, why, here it is. Yes, we can all find what we need within ourselves. Sometimes we need a little help pulling that out, and that's perfectly normal human stuff. And then once you have the experience doing it, it just comes more and more and more.
Right. As you practice, you
As
get
you-
more
yeah.
fluent
And
and
it-
you get better.
And it makes life better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very
Anything, any closing thoughts, Lori, as we're heading out for today?
No, I'm on board with everything you say. Check in with yourself, live it, take that moment to pause and breathe and, figure out what it is for you. And very good article. Thank you.
Thank you.
My closing thought would be, paying attention to what you're learning and how you're living it. And if there's a disconnect between, how you're showing up in the world every day, know that you influence that.
Yeah.
You can make choices and make decisions and explore that side of you so that you can live it the way that Jen's been living it, living proof that these techniques make life easier. They bring a sense of inner peace. They build love and connection among people, and the majority of the people that I met really want that. So if you're one of those, give yourself credit for living it. It doesn't matter if the book's been sitting there. Give yourself credit for how you are doing it and what you're exploring and the awarenesses that you're building. Final thought goes to you.
See, I just breathed.
There you go.
That's about it. Breathe and live it.